The Flash. This movie starts mid-crisis as she's trying to fix and save the hospital and its patients as it crumbles. And he's like, "Why didn't you call Superman?" He's like, "I tried that. He's busy." And then it showed the Superman was on TV dealing with something. And then he's like, "Wonder Woman," and she's not picking up, and Aquaman and all the rest of them. And finally, Flash gets a hold of Batman, played by Ben Affleck, and Ben Affleck's dealing with a bigger issue. So he tells the Flash to deal with the hospital, and he does. He saves the patients and before the hospital collapses. And then there's a funny line when he's talking to Alfred. He says, "I feel like the janitor of the Justice League, which I've come to terms with, except for the fact that it always feels like I'm cleaning up Bruce's messes." And so he's late for the court date as he's trying to prepare for his father's acquittal the next day. And he's trying to convince his boss that they need to take more time to go over their cases as they're missing details. And their boss says that he's already 6 months behind and they want to go slower. That's not how it works. So Barry goes home. He's looking and looking and looking through the footage to see if he can identify his father, who was sent by his mother before her demise to get tomatoes, which is why Barry knows that his father's innocent, but his father doesn't look up at the camera to clearly visibly show himself. So Barry gets upset, and his father goes, "You need to start living your life. You need a girlfriend. You need a job. You need all these things, and you got to stop worrying about his dad." But Barry's connection to his family is so strong, especially since he knows that his father is innocent. So he gets to talk to Ben Affleck's Batman of his universe. And Barry's like, "I ran so fast that I ran faster than the speed of light, and I went back in time one day," and decides to use the Speed Force to create this ball of energy that he can go through timelines. And he gets knocked into a timeline by Saboteur, which is an evil version of Barry, if you know the comments, because this is based on the Flashpoint storyline. So he gets knocked into another universe where Superman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman don't exist. As a matter of fact, there's a guy with the father's name of Aquaman, and he's like, "Can I speak to Arthur?" And he's like, "You want to speak to my dog?" And if you enjoy this content, please drop a like so more people can see it. And so he decides that he's messed up the timeline so bad that his mother is alive, and he goes to the store and he like puts the tomatoes in a cart so his father doesn't have to go anywhere. In the meantime, he meets young Barry, as this is before the lightning strike that gave the Flash his powers. So he doesn't have his powers in this universe, and he decides that young Barry should be the one in this universe that takes the lightning strike. And young Barry is an obnoxious, arrogant young man who doesn't understand that being struck by the lightning won't hurt him, I guess, in any way. And Ezra Miller's Barry just kind of forces him to take it. So he's being Barry's proxy at this point, being the Flash and saving all these people. And so eventually what happens is they understand that they need to get Batman, and young Barry doesn't think that Batman is real. And so they go all the way to Wayne Manor, and he doesn't realize that Bruce is Batman. And this is old man Bruce. He's got gray hair with a gray beard, and he's kind of out of it in a certain sense. And he takes out both Barrys, and he's trying to explain to older Barry that what he did was not alter the timeline. What he did, because they think in this alternate timeline that the universe branches off when it actually intersects, where most things will be the same and some things will be different. And he's trying to convince him that he needs Batman because he talks about how Zod has taken over the planet once again and how Zod is going to destroy billions of people. So with this information, Batman's like, "Well, there's not much I can do about it." And eventually they convince him to be Batman, which is Michael Keaton's Batman. So Batman takes both the Barrys in his bat plane and drops them off in Russia, looking for Superman to get his help with Zod. So they go to the security base that I guess belongs to Zod, and they find Supergirl. Supergirl at this point is weak because she's being held captive in a Kryptonian cell. She's really weak, and Barry decides to help her and bring her to safety. And she has enough to do one battle, and then gets carried to Barry's apartment where she gets put on the roof, and they take her suit, and she gets soaking up the sun, which gives the Superman and Supergirl their powers, and so she starts feeling better. And Barry says, "Well, he's kind of a mean guy." but there are people we're saving. There's babies, there's ballerinas, and he's going through it. And she goes, maybe to you, but I'm Kryptonian, so this means nothing to me. And she goes away. And then she happens to see Zod interrogating one of his military personnel, and he kind of takes him out because he didn't deliver Supergirl. And Supergirl sees this, and then she gets really mad because she's trying to find out what happened to Kal-El because she was sent to protect Superman. And what Zod told her was that he intercepted the pod that had Superman in it because he knew that the that they needed to restart Krypton basically was in one of them. And again, if you enjoy this video, hit like and subscribe. But anyways, so then Supergirl decides that she's gonna help them, but they need both berries at full strength. And again, because they got to defeat Zod and the Kryptonian army. And then Old Barry, which is Ezra Miller, has this idea that they can have two berries if they recreate the electric shock that gave him his powers in his universe. So they tried to do it mechanically, and it doesn't work. As a matter of fact, it almost takes out Barry. And then he's like, "Go again." But Michael Keaton's Batman is like, "The system is fried. There's nothing I can do about it." And so Supergirl takes him and basically through a storm throws him into a lightning bolt and then brings him back, and then young Barry notices it's working and he's got his powers, and the difference is Barry knows how to use it, and Barry's suit keeps his charge regular, like his electrical charge, whereas young Barry is still learning how to use his powers and his suit doesn't regulate him, so young Barry has to take break. What happens is they are the Justice League and they're missing Aquaman and Cyborg, but they recruit Batman and Supergirl, and no matter what they do, the ending is the same. They still take out Batman and Supergirl, and young Barry is impatient and he keeps going, "We can fix this and you have to stay here so you can fix our mother's situation when it's time." And so young Barry keeps going back and forth, trying to recreate the timeline where Batman and Supergirl win, and it never happens. And what happens is young Barry goes back and forth so many times because he's so determined and he's so stubborn that he becomes the evil version that knocked Barry into the timeline to begin with. And Barry's like, "We can't change this no matter what we do." And so the evil version of Barry then comes out and basically says, "There's nothing you can do to stop me. And you are the inevitable event that keeps me here because no matter what we do, we keep going back and forth and back and forth." And so he tries to take out Barry, and young Barry saves him. And then Barry goes back to the timeline, lets things happen as they occur, goes back to his own space, edits the footage with his father where he looks up and grabs the can. It's been enhanced. His father gets let out, and then he's calling Batman. And he's talking to Batman, and all of a sudden, Batman comes out of the limo, and it's George Clooney's Batman. So even though he changed the timeline, he changed the Batman with the George Clooney cameo. I thought it was a nice touch. And until next time, may your ego come from a place that keeps you humble. I'm Mo Money. Mamba out.